taking it out to one of my favorite segments we do here. I know some of you guys enjoy it as well. The Cowboys Mailbag. We're taking it into our first question coming in from Gary Bryant. Could NaVorro Bowman be a Cowboy? Well, Gary, we get this one a lot, and I still don't think it's very likely. It could happen. I'll never say never on signing a player, but I just don't think it makes enough sense for really either side. Here's what's going on with Bowman. He remains unsigned, but I do think he'll be signed at some point, and it's not going to be the Cowboys unless there's an injury. He does not want to be the number 4 linebacker on Dallas. He can go be the number 2 for Pittsburgh or even the number 3 for Jacksonville. Also great teams, more playing time, maybe even more money as well. So don't get your hopes up for Bowman coming to Dallas quite yet. Keep it rolling now here. Next up, if Terrence Williams get cut, what is the likelihood that the Cowboys sign a free agent safety? I actually don't think those two are intertwined all that much. If Dallas wants a safety, they'll cut some random guy who's not going to make the roster anyway. But I do think it's a decent idea because I am not comfortable with what Dallas has at safety. Jeff Heath, Xavier Woods, Kevon Frazier. I like all those guys. I want all those guys on my roster. None of them are a true number 1 safety, and I'd rather have more depth in there. Go sign Eric Reed. Go sign Kenny Vaccaro. Go sign Trey Boston. Bring me one of those guys in the roster. I'll feel a lot better. I think there's a decent chance that happens later in the year, maybe after minicamp. But for right now, the Cowboys say they're not a fit, even though at least one of those guys is definitely a fit. Another safety I did not mention was T.J. Ward. And Jordan Thomas wants to know, could the Cowboys pursue him now that his drug charges have been cleared? I don't think so. I would give this one maybe just the 1 and 1.5 heads. I don't think it's all that likely. If you want a box safety, I think that Eric Reed's a way better player. I think that Vaccaro can fill that role. T.J. Ward last year was not the guy we saw in his prime with Denver and even Cleveland. That was not the same T.J. Ward we're accustomed to seeing. He just wasn't as good. And on the flip side, I don't think Dallas really needs another box guy. Heath and Woods and Frazier can all play that in various roles. If you're going to go get a safety, give me a guy that can play in the slot or deep like a Vaccaro or Trey Boston. I just don't know if Ward is actually a good fit. Another one from Jordan. Is Earl Thomas still on the table for the Dallas Cowboys? Of course, I got a lot of questions about this one after Thomas said he was going to hold out, but Jordan was first actually a few days ago, so we went with his question as well. And yes, Earl Thomas is still on the table for the Dallas Cowboys, and if Seattle accepted a lowball offer, yeah, they would make that trade in a heartbeat. And it's not that there isn't enough money for Earl Thomas or that the safety position is good enough for Dallas. The reality for Earl Thomas is that the Cowboys and Seattle have to agree to a trade. Seattle is not going to give Earl Thomas away. I saw this question on Twitter. They would not accept Xavier Woods straight up for Earl Thomas. That doesn't make sense for Seattle. Seattle, maybe not accurately, thinks they are still in position to win right now, that they can be a contender. So I would not anticipate any kind of low ball offer. I think the reality starts around a second-round pick, because when Earl Thomas, if and when he leaves in free agency, Seahawks will get a third-round pick back. They are not going to take anything less than that. So the asking price will remain high for Earl Thomas. I know that he's holding out. Seattle still holds quite a bit of leverage in any trade talks there, so don't expect anything imminent for Earl Thomas. If we get to training camp and there is still a holdout, maybe it gets a little bit more likely. But as of right now, I don't think we'll get a trade for Earl Thomas. But, folks, let me know what you would trade for ET. And please, no offers involving Terrence Williams. Nobody wants T-Will on the roster right now. And, folks, again, subscribe to our brand new Cowboys YouTube channel, chatsports.com/CowboysTV. All the best YouTube coverage on the Cowboys all in one spot. All right, next up from Connor Mitchell. Who will start as the nickel linebacker besides Sean Lee, LVE or Jalen Smith? I think, Connor, the answer is both. I think you'll see both Smith and LVE get plenty of reps as the nickel linebacker. When the Cowboys want to blitz more, I think that might be a better role for Jalen Smith, but LVE will get reps as well. I think in reality, in the base packages, it'll be Sean Lee, LVE in the middle, and Jalen Smith at the same spot. And then on nickel downs, they'll rotate. One will come in one drive, the other will come in after that. So it's not going to be an either-or situation. I think for the most part, they will split reps. And unfortunately, knowing those guys' injury histories, including Sean Lee, you'll have them both on the field at various points as well. Also from Connor, he thinks DT is the biggest problem for the Dallas Cowboys. So what do you think that they could do before training camp? And on a related note, Douglas Paul says to rate our DTs and who could make the team any position overall with Collins and Irving in doubt there. And he also sense a potential trade. So I agree with a lot of what you guys just said. In terms of rating the guys, Irving is your number one, Malik Collins after that, Jihad Ward, and then it's a battle for that one or maybe two defensive tackle spots. Irving and Collins, those guys are locks. They will make the roster. I think Jihad Ward right now is going to be safe. And as for a trade, I would not be surprised if you saw it happen again. They did it last year with Brian Price. He was going to get cut. Packers traded him to the Cowboys. So monitor around the 53-man roster trim downs. Teams trying to trade guys that they're going to cut. If there's a DT the Cowboys like, I think they'll make a move for him. But as of right now, I agree. I'm pretty concerned overall about this Cowboys DT depth chart. It's just not good enough. I need a better one technique because right now they're just too thin. All right, Andrew wants to know if Jihad Ward will start at the one technique. I don't think so. I think that once Malik Collins comes back from injury, he will man that one technique role. In reality, I think Jihad Ward plays a bit more of a similar role to David Irving. And maybe on some third down looks, you see Ward and Irving and Lawrence run that kind of Cowboys Deacon defense if you don't get Randy Gregory back. Ward, I think right now is the number 3 DT, which means he'll play plenty for the Cowboys, and he'll play both the 3 technique and the 1 technique spot. But I don't know if he'll actually be the true 1 tech. Of course, if Collins is slow to come back from his foot injury, might increase chances that he gets that 1 technique role. Either way, I think as of right now, you might see quite a bit of Jihad Ward on the field next season. Keith wants to know, why not move Noah Brown to tight end? We've seen that discussed quite a bit. The Cowboys did not do it in OTAs. I don't think they're going to do it during the regular season or in the preseason either. Now, he could be a Niles Paul type guy, and I don't hate the idea in a bubble. I think makes some sense there, and maybe less so with T. Will and his uncertain future, because there are a lot of bodies at wide receiver, less so at tight end. My issue, and I think is overall, it's not as easy to have guys move positions as some might otherwise think. It's not as simple as Madden as a simple position switch. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a whole new spot to learn. So I am okay with it, but you got to do it now if you're going to make the move. And as of right now, it hasn't happened, so I don't think it'll happen. But, folks, let me know where the Cowboys should play Noah Brown. I think he can keep him at receiver for now, but I'd be okay with a move to tight end. All right, Aaron wants to know if the Cowboys will use more 2 tight end sets this year. And in a related question about tight ends as well, Connor wants to know if the Cowboys have a tight end in the spread or if they will run a more 4-wide set. Well, I love these questions because I'm going to let my inner nerd out here a little bit as well once we discuss tight ends. First off, the spot is not great overall. There's a lack of depth with Blake Jarwin, Swaim, Schultz, and Rico Gathers. Those guys are all fighting for those 3, maybe 4 spots. If it's 4, all 4 guys make the roster. But as of last year, the Cowboys used a tight end almost exclusively on the field. They constantly had a tight end on the field. There was one time last year, the only time it happened last 3 years, the Cowboys didn't have a tight end on the field. This is the 0 and the 10 personnel and the 20 personnel. Those formations that always had a tight end. The most common formation last year was what we called the 11 personnel. Again, it's just first number refers to the halfback, second one refers to the tight end. So 1 and 1 is 11 personnel. 60% of the time, the Cowboys had a halfback, 3 receivers, and 1 tight end on the field. As for multiple tight end looks, happened quite a bit last year. It was about 32% of the time the Cowboys used tight ends, or 2 or more tight ends. That's quite a bit. So to answer both of your guys' questions, I do not think you'll see the Cowboys use a tight end all the time in the spread. You will see more 0 and 10 personnel next year. You'll see more 4-wide looks with a halfback, or 4-wide looks with a tight end, and more 4-wide looks, or more 5-wide looks as well. You'll see more of those because the Cowboys have to do it, because Schultz and Swaim and Jarwin and Rico, I don't know if it's going to be 5 of your best pass catchers, especially if you want Tavon Austin on the field more and more. As for more 2 tight ends, I think it goes down from what it was last year. So just keep an eye on that one. Great questions, guys. I like talking about those tight ends. In the end, just a quick summary. Less 2 tight end looks and more empty set looks going forward for the Cowboys. Greg wants to know, a question we get almost every week, why is Chaz Green still on the team? Green is fighting for a backup guard role right now, which I don't know if that's the best fit for him, but he has to beat out Marcus Martin and Joe Looney. I don't know if he's going to, if that's the case. I think the Cowboys will take 5 at most. I think it's either Chaz Green or Marcus Martin. I think in the end, Cowboys might lean more towards taking Marcus Martin instead. So you might get your wish there, Greg, but Dallas is going to give him a chance to make the roster. And then one last one from Jordan Thomas. He wants to know if and when Gregory is reinstated, is he going to be a starter? I don't think so. Now, Gregory has applied for reinstatement, has reportedly passed drug tests for months, but hasn't played hardly any football since 2015. So I think for Gregory, if you see him play, it'll come in kind of a sub-package. Third down, he's the extra edge rusher. You keep Irving on the inside, you put Tank and maybe Tyron Crawford on the inside, or Crawford and Collins. Either way, I think third down is when you see Gregory get the most work, assuming he is indeed cleared to return. Speaking of Gregory, let me know who will have the most sacks, and this does not include DeMarcus Lawrence. He is obviously going to have the most sacks with the Cowboys, so pick Randy Gregory, Taco, Crawford, or someone else not named DeMarcus Lawrence. Folks, let me know in the comments section. And if you guys like that mailbag section, get your comments in the comment section for another one. We'll do it again next week. I always love to have the Cowboys mailbag. It's one of my favorite sections that we do. All right, folks, follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage. If you missed anything, don't worry. We'll play it again here in just a second. Until then, we'll see you next time.